Hi, my name is Rihanna, and today I'd like to talk about recycling and specifically sorting your recycling. So, it is not new news to anyone that we have too much trash on this planet. In fact, the world produces 2.12 billion tons of garbage every single year. And the EPA estimated that 75% of that garbage is recyclable, but only 34% is actually recycled in the US. So there are two main reasons why we have so many wasted recyclables. Part of the problem, of course, is people who just don't recycle. Another part, however, is due to contamination of recyclables. According to Waste Management, the average contamination rate is 25%, which means 1 in 4 items will end up in landfills or the ocean. The use of single stream recycling facilities have increased this rate substantially. Single stream is convenient for people since you can just put all of your recyclables in one place, but for that exact reason, it's harder on facilities because you can put anything in those bins. And people certainly put a lot of different things that they think should be recyclable, but actually aren't, unfortunately. And on those, you have to just cut your losses and chuck them. Certain things like hoses, wires, and plastic bags choke up machines and waste precious time and money as workers have to stop and go in to manually fix it. Plastic bags are especially notorious for this, and they are known to stop up machines about every 25 minutes. And sorting out contaminants actually gets pretty costly as well. And given that lowered oil prices have decreased the commodity value of recyclables, raising cost to process makes recycling honestly financially unsustainable. So the worst offenders for contamination are food, liquids, greasy boxes, and disposable diapers, among other things, which can ruin literal tons of recyclables that they just come in contact with. Paper and cardboard are especially susceptible to this. And this is a big issue because the average person uses about 7 trees worth of paper each year. 25 million trees could be saved if America recycled just 1/10 of its newspapers. Imagine how many trees we'd save if all paper, or at least a lot of paper, was successfully recycled instead of being ruined. One thing that stands out as a result of poor recycling tendencies is the ever-growing amount of plastic. Besides lasting 1,000 years in a landfill, and if not more, plastic wreaks havoc on our oceans. Plastic that ends up in the oceans can damage coral reefs, which are an essential habitat to our planet. It can obstruct needed light to underlying waters, reduce oxygen, kill marine life, and it can soak up toxins that make their way into humans through seafood that actually consumes microplastics. So, what can we do? Know what can be recycled and sort it out yourself. Firstly, you'll want to get to know your local guidelines. Recycling is a locally governed process, and policies can and will vary. Some areas are actually even beginning to accept single-use packaging plastics that aren't typically recycled as they require chemicals and virgin materials. You also want to make note of different facilities for special recyclables like plastic bags, which you can take to grocery stores, or some grocery stores at least, and batteries and certain metals. Make sure you know all of those places and try and set aside some time to take your items directly there. So once you know what you can recycle, form a system in your home for sorting out recyclables so it makes it easier and simpler, and you have nothing to worry about. An ideal setup for dividing would look something like this. You'll want something for your paper products and empty paper containers. This is like cartons and cardboard. Remember, not greasy pizza boxes, newspapers, and certain cups. Not many coffee cups can be because they have a polyethylene coating on the inside, and anything with that waxy polyethylene coating can't be recycled as it isn't able to be broken down at the paper recycling facilities. You also want another container for those single-use and packaging plastics. It's just random plastics that you can do something with nowadays, but you can't put in regular recyclables. You want something for your compost, if you're into that, which can also be used as fertilizer and many other things, um, as well as making sure that you don't get any food into your recyclables to contaminate. You also, of course, want something for your bottles and aluminum cans. Now, this graphic shows glass in there, but it's actually best to leave glass out in its own because it can shatter and contaminate things as well. Gotta get it out. Then, of course, you'll just want your regular old trash cans for things that you cannot recycle because sometimes you just gotta throw it away. Here's just a quick chart of different things that are commonly accepted and things that you shouldn't. So you'll definitely want to make sure, of course, for hoses and any kind of chemicals, because those can be very dangerous, once again, for the machine, but also for the people. The laborers working there, you'll definitely want to avoid propane tanks and auto parts and sharp items. And as for foods and papers, of course, we still want to avoid to-go containers and um, dirty paper towels and dirty paper, and certainly soiled paper and shredded paper. So it is true that the ease of single stream recycling made a lot more people attempt to recycle, but contamination caused by mixing recyclables makes it so more items end up in the trash. So my goal is that we can get as many people that are recycling now with single stream to continue to recycle, but take the extra step to sort so that we have maximum recycling. And this really is important nowadays, especially because in 2017, US scientists estimated that 8.3 billion tons of plastic has been created since 1950. And of that, 6.9 billion tons of it became waste. And of that 6.9, only 9% ever made it to a recycling facility. That's an unfathomable amount of plastic just floating around the planet. And about half of that 9.2 billion has been produced in the past 15 years. So that number is growing at a disturbingly exponential rate. Recycling only 0.068% of the total amount of plastic on this planet is unacceptable. By 2050, and this is not a stretch by any means, there will be more plastic in the ocean than fish, and the plastic waste in landfills will weigh 35,000 times as heavy as Empire State Building. It's really up to us to take that extra step for the environment. As the crisis continues and escalates, we really have to encourage ourselves and others to do whatever we personally can to help, like sorting recyclables and taking special recyclables to respective facilities. Thank you for listening today, and I hope you learned something, and I hope that you are inspired to successfully recycle from now on and always.